Today we're going to get after it. Customer questions. Jay's going to say some stuff. He's mildly funny. I'm here with Adam as well. We're going to cover some stuff going on in the industry, but a lot of customer questions on the why we do stuff. God damn it. So those are some of your questions. Thomas just got a payroll deduction. Thanks for tuning in. I wonder how big the industry would have grown if it weren't for social media and the ability to flex and show what you got. Because guns are cool. It's not like,
Absolutely.
Hey, man. I mean, I don't even with cars. Like, man, look at these sick-ass tires I've got. Like, or, you know, whatever. Just basic things that you would want. Like, I'm old enough to where you didn't have the ability to flex. Like, you had machine guns because you like to motherfucking shoot machine guns.
Right.
You know, and when I went to the range, like I found some pictures and moving some of my stuff from Georgia a few weeks ago, but you know, and it was taken on film, and I found some photographs of us when we had a machine gun shoot, but there was no video of it. There was no documenting it. You just shot because you really wanted to shoot. Like there was no way to flex on other people. What are you going to do? Buy a magazine ad and put yourself in there with all your guns like an idiot?
Well, they had the forums, and people did like picture threads and, you know, show off your guns. And then there were always the conversations of which
I'm even talking pre that. I mean, forums with the pictures, because there were forums, but you couldn't post pictures. In 97, I think, like I was on Machine Gun News Forum, which is the predecessor to Small Arms Review, and you couldn't post pictures. Like pictures coming along, that was probably just with AR15.com or something, which is what, like 20 years old maybe?
I don't know.
Maybe not even. I don't know.
Their interface still looks like it's 20 years old as well.
I think all forums. Yeah. Like it's just not evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be cool when there's this throwback and considered vintage and we can have a forum. Because I can understand forums a little better. But the flex part, I think you're right.
And I mean, especially now too, where no one can really afford to shoot, especially with ammo. It's all just about, let me take pictures of what I have.
I'm guilty.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Grant, like any opportunity I get to take a picture of a cool gun, I'm trying to do it. But
really, I just do it. I think for social media for the company. Otherwise, I would never take pictures of any of the stuff. But I would shoot every single day.
Well, you've talked about too that. I mean, you kind of just touched on it a little bit, but the most of the time, or for a long period of time, of you coming up in the industry, people weren't as interested necessarily, or outwardly as interested in it as they are now. And so now you have kind of an opportunity, especially with your personal Instagram, where you can break out some of these cool things and kind of teach people about them. So that's a different opportunity. And I don't take it as, like when I read the stuff that you've been posting about, like the cool silencers and all that, it doesn't look like flexing. It's like it's educational.
Yeah, I want to educate. And there's a couple things, like the selfish reasons for me to do it increases the value probably of my collection. But also, you know, I'm just trying to pimp the stuff, awareness, get people interested. It helps Q, but also like the book coming up, you know, and I hope the book series of silencers, it's going to help with a lot of things, and hopefully it helps the company. But yeah, I mean, it's not like, oh, I have this silencer. I mean, literally, I think tons of people are interested in my historical silencers, but there's only like 5 people that would buy them.
Right.
Like it's not that it has tremendous like value from a financial perspective. But hopefully it can use it, you know, as foundation. Because when I think about it, when I hear people talk to me about guns or silencers, and I am a student of this by far, you know, I am not the most knowledgeable person about firearms or silencers or anything by a long shot. But I do have tons of experience, and I do know more than the average guy that's into guns now. And I have like a serious deep-rooted interest with the silencers. You know, I have hundreds of silencers, and I wouldn't sell them for millions of dollars, and they're probably not worth hardly anything. I mean, the Maxim stuff, some of the stuff is, but the other things, you know, it's important to me because it was a failed project for a military unit. And in my mind, when you guys asked me about something that we did for the Mark 13, like we were talking about earlier, oh, well, fuck, I forgot that. And we did that because we did this and it didn't work. And, oh, look, I have one right here, and this is where it failed. And, you know, so for me, it's just kind of part of my history. You know, it would have been interesting to have social media like 30 years ago when I started in guns, because all you had, there weren't, you think everybody flexes now on the accessories, and I'm guilty of it. And, you know, I do it to get free stuff too, but they, like everybody just had a Glock and a basic AR. There weren't flat tops. There were no optics on them. There were no, railed forends. There was nothing special about anybody's guns. We just all had a 22. We all had a Glock. We all had an AR-15. We all had a Remington 700 and 308 with a Leupold Mark IV on it. Like, you didn't have anything special no one else had.
And I think it's cool too that like you have the exposure to all these because you've walked down all the different avenues that you've walked down in your time in the industry, and I think other people who have that, I think there's a crossroads where it's like I can either just post the pictures and flex, or I can do some educational stuff with it. And I think that's the point I was trying to make about your personal Instagram is that you have a lot of stuff that a lot of stuff that you can only see in museums. And instead of just posting a picture of it and basically being like, I've got this and you don't, you expand on it.
Part of it started with, you know, some of the haters and stuff, and a lot of them are very knowledgeable, but then there's a cutoff. You know, if you're 25 years old and you've been super in the industry for 10 years, like I sold my last company more than 10 years ago. So all the knowledge you have prior to that is you heard it from someone who heard it from somebody who saw something one time.
Right.
Like you don't know. And, you know, for me, that's part of the interest of the historical stuff for me too. Say whatever you want. I was there. I was involved. Here's the stuff. Here's what really happened. Yeah, what this idiot's saying, this part's true, but this and this are not true. And here's a photograph of it. And, you know, talk about it.
Yeah, that is cool.
And it's good for me as I'm starting to do writing for the book and all to kind of go through this because, you know, it lays dormant. Like I forget about a lot of these things until like I start digging through these bins of parts and silencers and, you know, it reminds me of things. I mean, I know Ethan and I have the conversation every time we hang out and have a beer and something will come up that we forgot about. You know, like we didn't even remember doing it. It's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, why did we do that? And then Ethan will remember one part, and then I remember a part, and we start kind of weaving it back together, things that we would have both forgotten. And that's kind of why it's important. Like Ethan's a bit of a hoarder too, but for me, because as time goes on, we're going to forget about this stuff. And it's important for me with Q because I didn't do a good job at advanced armament. I want us to have a real timeline in the new facility of all the products from the beginning, because it doesn't seem like we're going to forget about some things we changed on the fix early on, or the Honey Badger, or the silencers. But if we have those pieces, you know, it's always going to be locked in time, and there will be, you know, something everybody can trace, and we can understand why we did this. Because I guarantee you, you know, Nick, the head engineer on the fix, you know, that's consumed him for 5 years, and he's probably already forgotten some stuff he did. But definitely in 10 years from now, he's going to forget some of the reasons that something's done a certain way. So,
sorry.
But yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. And then it's the demographics and everything with the industry and social media and just like Snapchat, like any news of any gun thing that happens and sparks all this political stuff. But you know, I've said it 100 times before, but when I was a kid working in the gun store, 35 to 55-year-old blue collar white dude was your only customer. And how different that is now. And to me, that's like a wonderful thing. And I do love seeing like all the incredible liberal interest in firearms now that they're afraid they're going to be banned.
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like kind of a catch-22 where as a community, I think you want more people to be. I think the biggest issue is that there's been a lack of education on firearms. I think that's the biggest. We don't have a gun issue. I think there's a lack of education. So it's cool to see people want to get involved and want to learn. But in the same hand, there's a lot of misinformation that gets spread just because people don't know.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize if you've never really been interested in it, and I don't know, you know, I'm 20 something years older than you, but like going through school, it was made clear to me that it was a right to have a firearm. Like even in public school, like when we, you know, went through the Constitution, the amendments, like this is your right and this is why. And I remember my teachers teaching it that way, but I think now it's almost under the guise of it's a privilege and the government should decide what guns you should have. And it's like there is no way you read the Second Amendment and think that that is a privilege and the government should control it, and it controls the type of firearm that you should be able to have. That, you know, it's a privilege and you don't really need that. And it's like, oh my God, this is why we had a revolution in the first place. Like, shut up.
Well, I mean, even in my experience, it wasn't really one way or the other. Obviously, we're taught about the Constitution, but growing up, I was super into guns just on my own.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't something that, like, I didn't go to school and talk about it. Like, it wasn't something, it just wasn't spoken about. So, because it wasn't a cool thing, it wasn't whatever.
Well,
I was
growing
just
up in Maine too. Like, I grew up in a big city,
right.
So maybe that was different. But you know, I look at it and people ask me different things, like why I didn't go to engineering school. And part of me is like, oh, I wish I'd gone to engineering school. But then I'm afraid, like, I'm mechanical enough, and I think it would change the way that I think creatively if I'd gone to engineering school. And I think the same thing with art school. Like, I love all kinds of art and design. I don't care if it's architecture, if it's, you know, printed art, like all medias. Like, I just love art and design. And if I'd gone to art school, I would probably feel very differently about it. And the point is, I'm glad that I grew up with a family that didn't have guns and was kind of anti-gun. And it's something that I came to on my own. You know, when I was young, if you would ask me if somebody should be able to own a machine gun or something, I'd be like, hell no.
Right.
Like, I was just ignorant. So I enjoy, like, my journey and process through this. And I think it gives me a better understanding where, like you, if I'd grown up where my whole family had guns, it would, you know, I think I definitely would have felt like that it's definitely my right and how could you question it? But me growing up without them, I kind of thought guns were bad when I was young. And then in school, actual school, public school, learning that that's our right. And the reason we have it is like tyrannical government and to be afraid. And, you know, then I just got into firearms in my late teens and, you know, just fell in love. But I appreciate that journey because I think it gives me a perspective that I wouldn't have if I'd grown up with a family with firearms or whatever.
Yeah, one thing you said that stuck with me, you said it was one of the earlier episodes that we kind of started doing, is that you were talking about the book and how doing this book, like you said earlier, made you remember a lot of stuff that you had, and it also got you excited about it again.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. I've had the discussion with a few people. Is like, growing up, I was super interested in guns and history and everything, and went in the military, didn't really think about it. Like, it wasn't like a thing that I thought about. Got out, and I was back into guns. I worked at SIG. I got a job at SIG, and I was like, this is going to be awesome. And through, not necessarily a direct knock at SIG, but through the time that I worked there, I completely lost the, like, passion for guns. And I just didn't, just because of how it was there, I just didn't care anymore. And then coming to Q completely reignited that and, like, got me back into it.
I understand. You know, I think SIG probably, and I don't know, we'll let Adam speak to this, and I think he may feel the way you did. But I think when Ethan started at SIG, you know, Ethan, even as young as he is, he was the first degreed engineer that ever worked at SIG in America. So when he went to work there and was an intern there when he was in college, like, the head of engineering wasn't an engineer, which, you know, I don't know. I don't think, like, Eugene Stoner has an engineering degree either, I don't believe. But he's pretty special. Yeah. But I think SIG at the time was probably like Q. You know, and it was fun. And that's a question that we had that I have in here, so we'll just skip to it right now. So, Adam, I want to ask you. You responded to this, and then also the question is, what is the right size for Q to be? Because I think what happened with SIG is it just grew to where they didn't manage it correctly, and it just became a corporate job to where if you love guns and you dream of working at a gun company, and SIG, I will say still, is probably one of the better ones. Yeah. You go to work there, you will more than if you went to work there because you want to work at a gun company, more than likely you won't stay and you're going to wish you had never done it.
That's a tough question. I think it depends. So when I worked there, there were 500 employees. It was mostly
a quarter the size it is now.
Exeter and Epping was the academy. Mm-hmm. And it was a great time.
Yeah.
I loved every second of it. And then the company started winning some contracts and just growing commercially. Throwing out different color SKUs of all the different things, calling it a new product. And then it started to get not fun. But I was kind of shielded from that because I was in the special weapons group. Well, I was in the test
Oh, that's
group.
true at that time. Yeah,
And then I
special
was in the
weapons.
special weapons group. So we were doing cool, innovative, new things with like a target customer in mind, and we were doing kind of what we wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, for those listening, Special Weapons was kind of the skunk works, a special group inside of SIG that was isolated from everything else. You couldn't even enter that part of the facility, and worked on all the military government, like super cool prototype, interesting things that weren't necessarily geared towards commercial stuff.
Yeah, and it all eventually, for the most part, became a commercial product.
Yeah. MCX.
You know, the 516, the MCX was originally a 516 variant, and then we put a folding stock on it. MPX silencers kind of came out of that department because of certain contracts we needed. So I was pretty shielded from that. So to answer your question about what's the right size for Q, it all depends on who's in charge of each department and the processes that are put in place, and, you know, kind of sucking the fun out of what we do and keeping it exciting. So that's a very hard thing to control and manage.
I agree. You know, my response was going to be, you know, like right now, see, I'm reignited at Q again because, like, every time we reach a milestone, like, you can either get complacent, but, you know, for me, I always want to, like, my mind is let's conquer the world. But so, okay, now we don't have those worries anymore. We got to get to this next thing. And that's super exciting for me. But, you know, as we start to divide the company up into like real categories and groups and, you know, different departments, it's like some of it, I think SIG could have done a better job at, and it's what I hope we can do to maintain the culture as a company grows, but there's still that element of, like, you know, you're in your own little group and club, and you know everyone, and you hang out, and it's not, you know, like SIG, it's almost, in my time there, starting in 2014, February, I think, you know, it was all about numbers and the entire company. And so there started to become a shift, which you saw probably even within special weapons, where we don't worry about money. We're doing these cool things. We're going to develop this next generation products. But then it became, oh, we've got this big monster to feed. We get this new big building. We buy $20 million in machines. We hire 300 people. You got to keep them busy, and it becomes about the numbers. And the numbers are important for production. But for me, it's because it is interesting. Like, we could grow so much right now just on this political wave. But staying true to what we want to do, the highest quality stuff and innovative stuff, build a brand. And I think, at least for our employees, you know, that's the passion. Like, if, you know, it's great. We can all make more money, and everybody could, and that's wonderful. But if we just focus on the numbers, it totally sucks the fun out of everything.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have goals, right? You have to have a direction where you want to go, but and I'm not saying one company does this or another. Everybody probably does it to some extent, but cutting corners just to hit those goals for the sake of hitting those goals for what looks good on paper. Like, it's okay to miss your goals as long as you learn from it. You change what you did so you can hit the goal next time. Like, use it as a learning experience instead of a punishment if you don't hit the goal, and nobody's going to get bonuses if we don't hit this number. And it's bad for pretty much, I think, every aspect of a company.
Yeah, morale, people start covering stuff up.
I will, not to cut you off, but like, I will say that the biggest difference for me from being because I was at SIG in 2015. So I got the tail end of when, I mean, they were growing. There were almost 1,000 employees in 2015. But they were still doing things for the employees. Like, at the outings, they were still giving us everything, like all the stuff. And then they took on a bunch of people very rapidly, and you started to see the huge disconnect between the employee and the product.
Yeah.
And that was I think that's what aided in me kind of just not caring about
the
guns
leadership
anymore.
Started to really want to isolate themselves from the employees. You know, like, for me, when I come to Q, and even when it was 11 people, and, you know, we've grown a bunch since then, it's like, I come there, I have a meeting with you, you know, we deal with marketing stuff, but I want to go see everyone in the company and every part of the company. I want to touch everything, know what's going on, and not to be like the prison warden. It's like, I expect and believe that everyone wants to produce the best product. That's how we're going to build the best brand. And as we grow the company, we have the different departments. The hope is we get good leadership in all of those, and you can keep that culture in a small feel, a family feel. But the company has to grow. You're growing or you're dying. But how can we maintain that culture? And it can't be, me putting my office, on the top floor and isolated from everyone and having, tab the guard dog at my office to where no one can come in without going through her and an appointment. Like, I hope I don't ever have an office there. Like, I hope I never have an office again.
Yeah.
Like, I come up there, I want to be in shipping, receiving. I want to be handling guns that are about to ship out to make sure everything looks the way, because my job now is probably to maintain and secure a future for the brand, grow the brand. And that's all encompassing. So, there's things like with manufacturing, that part of operations, we can't, fly loose as much in that part as we can with the creative side of the company. So like understanding that, and engineering and creative is always just going to cost us money.
Yeah, of course. And you got to feed the creative beast.
Yeah. And so we got to do that. And then the expectation is we're going to make it the greatest place in the world to work. And I don't even have to say it, but we're going to have these projects and goals every year, and you're going to develop the greatest product, but also, not for you to get a bonus. And that part is great for everybody, but to where you are so proud. Mm-hmm. When there's something going on with one of the products, and then I see the engineers there every night until 10 o'clock at night, making sure everything got sorted out. That's wonderful. There's nothing mandated about that. It's those guys care about every single product that goes out because they're invested in the product and in the company, and that's what's going to help the growth of the company. And for me, it is different. Like, I used to just think about just the product, and I love product and product guy, but it's really the company and the brand that we have to develop the best brand, and that means the most innovation and the highest quality, and that's the best customer service.
Yeah. So just kind of a couple points. You said, I forget what you said actually. Something about
a disconnect.
A disconnect between the product and the employee.
Employee, yeah.
When you're 1,000 people, 1,500 people, it's very hard to maintain that connection because you're starting to hire people. Like, as you start to grow, you can't hire people that are personally invested in the product. Like, that many people probably don't exist in our industry, in this area especially.
If at SIG, if you get hired as if you get hired as a machine operator, you're only ever going to do that. You're not going to do stuff with.
And that's important though, because you want people, like, they're making a part out of metal that has to meet a print, and their personal investment is perfection on that part, on that machine. So that's okay. They shouldn't necessarily care about, it's a complete fix at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Down the line, their interest is okay to be lost. As long as they're focused on that one part.
Well, taking pride in their job.
Right.
Like, you want to produce the best part. And I think there's some people you can never motivate to really care about that. Mm-hmm. And I think there are people that you can. I think we've been through a few of people who you just can't. They don't care enough. And, we don't need to change that. There's plenty of people who are wired, in my opinion, to want to take pride in their work, but they do need the opportunity and the culture and the appreciation of doing it. And to me, it's even like a mandate. And we don't need to change people. You come in, you do it, it's just a job to you. You're not going to go the extra mile to make sure everything's great. Just probably not a good fit at our company.
Yeah, especially at our size. But, as we grow, you talked about you want to walk around the company. You want to see everybody. You want to talk to everybody. You want to touch everything and just make sure it's perfect. And as you should. But it's a fine line between that and micromanaging. Not calling you a micromanager, but when people at the bottom of the totem pole see that behavior from you, it should be appreciated. But it's also, we don't necessarily want the bottom of the totem pole people trying to be involved in every aspect of the company. We want them to be focused on what they're doing on a daily. And so it's maintaining that balance. And
but I think people, even at entry-level positions, it's important for me personally, and I say personally, but really for the brand, I believe, just my opinion, but like owning the place, then my opinion carries a lot of weight, is that they are appreciated just as much as you
100%.
or you or anybody else.
Yep.
They're just as important there as I am. I just put up the money, so I get to make the decision.
100%,
But I don't feel that, I'm more important. It's like my vision of what we want is important, but I want the products to turn out a certain way. And so that is an obligation from the engineers that I feel they have to me. In response, they get, to work on things that they love. They get employment, they get paid, like all the benefits of working somewhere. And they have an obligation. It's not, and it is to me, but it's to the company. And I think it goes all the way down. I mean, I get involved in shipping, receiving.
Sure.
And it's for the customer. And that's what I want people in shipping and receiving to understand. That's great for you to make me happy, but all I want is when every time a customer opens a gun box or even a Plan B, that it's a great experience for them. And sometimes that's some minutia that to a lot of people doesn't matter, and to some people they can't even see. But I have a vision of how I want our company represented, and everything from our online presence to the product to the packaging. I want everything to be the best. I want it to be interesting. I want it to be beautiful. I want it to work the best. And to me, I think that's why I stay excited, because I'm never going to be completely happy. And I don't want to be like the tyrant that's like on everyone's ass. Like, I want to try to get everyone to understand, like the vision that I have, and I think what the consumer wants and what allows us to do more with a smaller group and, create the best value, because that ends up great for the employee. We have a higher pay scale, get more time off, there's more benefits, there's all these great things. Because, what I want from an employee, I don't care how much money anyone makes at our company. But I want them to be efficient, and they need to do a good job, and it needs to benefit the company. I would love to pay everyone $1 million a year. It'd be great. And if we can get there, that's great. I'm not greedy. Share the money. And we could potentially do it. I don't know, probably not, but it would be fine with me. But everybody needs to take that approach to the company for us to be successful. And by successful to me, we're plenty successful for a company, but I want to be the greatest brand and company ever in our industry. And that's a tall order. Because, when I think of that, I think of H&K, Knights Armament, like these aspirational companies that have done incredible things. And not only, if we just looked at manufacturing, I don't know, maybe Ruger is the best manufacturing company in the world. We could never do that. That's just one aspect of it. HK, their quality, their innovation, their design, their engineering. And when you see a product, like I brought up the other day when I was 2 days ago, I think I told you, I think I even asked you to go look at them. I went into Fix Assembly. They're building the Fix rifles, and the bolt body and the bolt and the extract. They had bolt body assemblies, and I picked it up, and almost brought a tear to my eye. It was so beautiful. I looked at it and I said, and I love Savage, Ruger, Sig. I just fucking love guns, but I was like, this could never be an American. This is an HK part, and I mean it. It's like the biggest compliment to HK. And our machinist, our engineers, everyone involved. When I looked at that, even compared to the parts 2 years ago in the Fix, it looks like we bought that part from H&K. And I mean that with the most respect to H&K. That's the company that I aspire to conquer in our industry.
Yeah, that's just going just a little extra mile on attention to detail in the design process, make sure the prints are good, holding our vendors accountable. So all the way from design to quality control, shipping and receiving, everybody just does that little extra mile, and our parts are just going to be a little bit better than the next person. When you put all that together in a single product, that's when you have a premium product.
I agree. I think when it starts with design, we design the better stuff. When we make a better product, when the marketing is better, the customer service. And again, I don't ever want a room of customer service people, which we're going to have eventually. It'll drive me nuts. But most of it, there's another question in here. So we're going to get into these pretty quick because we're starting to get into all these questions. But the best customer service we provide anyone is the best product where we never hear from them. That is number one. Like, to me, I don't know. I always reserve the right to change my mind, but I can't imagine changing my mind on that one. Like, make the best product. You know, the thing that I do a bad job of is really like being in charge of marketing is the conversion process of the ignorance of some of the innovation of the products that we do to educating people on it. And that's great where we do this and we posted questions. So I want to get into those now. Is because, you know, we get jaded and we're into this for so long. We've been building the Fix for almost 5 years and the Honey Badger for 4 years. And there's people that just heard about us last week. And although I harp on tapers and that becomes a thing, well, I harp on it because it's super important and I wish everyone would do it. And I see some of the biggest haters now are using our taper in their silencers on their rifles, which to me means I'm doing a better job than I thought. And it's, you know, the engineers did a great job, and now I'm starting to convince people of things. So I want to go over some of the questions that we got.
I think this is important too, because especially since kind of integrating into reading the questions that we get, like being a part of the DMs and the social media and all that. For us, we've all been in the industry, or we've all been into guns forever, whatever. So you see some of the questions, you're like, man, what an idiot. But then I'm like, oh, well, some people will preface it with like, hey, I'm just getting into guns, and
I see that a lot now.
And I think it's awesome.
I'm sorry this is a stupid question.
Yeah.
But those are the best questions.
Yeah, and it's cool because it kind of brings us back down to the beginning where it's like, well, here, let me tell you about it.
And why we rehash this over and over.
That's a stupid preface to a good question.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, you know, like one question was like, why are you so copied? And, you know, to me, this is the response. It's like, we're so copied because it's correct. Like when we talk about the taper on the muzzle or on the barrel, and we talk about the taper on the muzzle device, it's the right thing. It's the right thing to do. And that's why we do it. And that's why we're so copied. You know, there is nothing in a taper that is that we invented that's smart. Every lathe, every mill that everybody uses to put a square shoulder on their barrel uses a taper. Why doesn't your machine use a square shoulder? Because it's stupid. Don't use it. Your silencer comes loose and you don't get alignment. There is a concentricity tolerance with thread. So if you just have a square 90-degree shoulder, every time you thread the silencer on, it's in a slightly different position. And that's why threaded silencers suck. They come loose. I had it. Taurus, the CEO, I don't even know who he is. He sent me their new pistol.
It's awesome.
Shout out. That pistol is awesome. Yeah. I love it. I went and shot it. I'm not sure I like it as much as my Hammerly, but I like it better than the Smith & Wesson 41 that I paid $1,350 for. I like it better than the Ruger Mark 4 or 2245, which I really like. The Browning Buck Mark, everything.
Any Ruger Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 2245.
They're great.
I like it
guns.
Better than all those.
Yeah, and they're great guns. But this is better. That Taurus, and I was not expecting, because I've never been proud to own a Taurus. Sorry, CEO, if you're listening. Until now. And it changed my mind. Whoever they have now doing the engineering and design, keep him, or if I find him, I'm going to hire him away from you.
Yeah, and you shouldn't apologize for that. Like, that's a huge compliment to Taurus, what you just said. Like, that's a good thing. I
think so, and company-wide. Like, the quality of it was great, and it's the for listening, we'll pop it up on the screen, or the link. Is that what you're supposed to say? Put it in the link below.
Yeah, we can do
the TX22 competition. So it takes the red dot, and it's on the barrel, which is smart, and rather than the slide, which is stupid.
Fixed barrel. 22.
Yeah, so you can put it on it's a striker-fired gun. The trigger is phenomenal for that.
Yeah.
Comes with a threaded barrel. Needs a taper because my silencer came loose while I was shooting, which pissed me off. Because I'm shooting, and I was like, this thing is so accurate. Because I can tell a difference in my Hammerly, the accuracy with that, and my 2245, the Hammerly's better. And so I'm shooting groups, and I got a 1 MOA RMR on it. I think it's 1 MOA. It's small, so I'm shooting little groups. But, you know, towards the end of my session, I'm like, my group's doubled in size, and I'm like, maybe I'm getting tired, whatever, made an excuse, load another mag, shoot. And I'm like, yeah, it's not me. And the silencer was loose. Needs a taper. Taper works.
Yeah, the whole copying thing, like, we did it because it's the right thing. Other people are doing it because they realize it's the right thing. You know, the first person that made a a machine with a taper on it. They were the first person to do it, and then everybody else followed suit because it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that.
The tapers are, and we provide the drawings on the website for everyone. So all you gun companies that are hating, or silencer companies, do like our little hater Paco and put our taper in your silencer. It's the right thing to do, even if you're a douche.
Yeah, and if you do something different and it's better and it's the right thing to do, chances are good we'll probably do it too.
So we'll copy them.
Well, we'll do it because it's the right thing.
I will be disappointed in our engineering if they don't figure it out 100%, first.
100%. I agree with that. But
yeah, I agree. Yeah, because we're going to owe some of these companies. Like, I almost want to copy some products, whether it's CGS or Dead Air, just because like they copy us to an embarrassing degree, where they'll post. Haters will say it's a copy. I wish they would do something good we could copy just to be assholes. But so here's another thing that I get question on. 8.6. So I can't see it now, Jay. What all does this say?
It says barrel change only.
Yeah. So it's 4 308 base guns or 6.5, and it's just like 300 blackout. Barrel change only. You don't need a bolt or a new mag or anything. Oh, you got round. So So it's like a 338 and a 6.5 shortened case. Barrel change only. What else you got?
Not for the mini fix. Did you say that?
I didn't say that.
It's not for the mini fix.
Nope. It's for the full size fix. 308 base guns. Big guns.
Super and subsonic.
Yeah, so you get the super and subsonic, just like 300 blackout. That's why it's called 8.6 blackout.
Yeah, and that was a big decision on our part. What do we name it? Right? It was going to be 338 Creedmoor. We were going to call it 8.6 Cosby.
Still the best name.
I wish we went with that.
That's so good.
But 8.6 blackout, the story's already been told. People are just still learning about 300 blackout.
Yeah.
What it is. So calling it blackout only continues to tell the same story, and the people that understand it will understand this.
If it wasn't for educational purposes, the ease of people understanding blackout, that means 300 blackout, super subsonic, full mag capacity, barrel change only, blah blah blah. It totally would have been 8.6 Cosby. Oh my God, greatest name ever! Shout out! I think was that Nick. It seems like a Nick.
Nick or Drew.
Yeah,
one of them. Yeah.
Seems like a Drew thing, actually.
Yeah, it does seem like very much like a Drew thing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But I don't know if he's old enough to understand the Cosby thing.
Well, it was in the news recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not while it was happening, But, it's very easy to say from an educational standpoint, 300 blackout's bigger brother.
Yeah.
Yep. It says full mag capacity, so.
Full mag capacity. Because, there's a lot of good killing rounds, which talk about a lot. And whether it's 458 SOCOM, even 6.8 SPC, 375 Raptor, 30 Remington AR, all these cartridges that are good, but you have to have a delivery system, meaning you have to have a mag and you have to have a gun. But when you start altering the magazine or limiting mag capacity, the reliability just goes in the shitter. So that's an objective to us. Full mag capacity.
Yes.
The big one is fast twist.
Fast twist. I'm so excited about fast twist.
Faster twist.
So here's the thing, because I had some douche on YouTube comment on a video the other day saying, I keep saying it gives you more velocity going fast twist, which is absolutely false, and I have never said that. However, it is also true. Rotational velocity, spinning the bullet faster, does not give you linear velocity increase. It doesn't affect it. It's not slower. But fast twist gives you several things. Number one, if you're using a big, long subsonic bullet, it stabilizes it better, so you get better accuracy. But the fast twist really gives you greater energy because you spin the bullet faster. You get rotational velocity increase. So if I shoot you with a hollow point, so the hollow point expands because of linear velocity, but rotating it faster also makes the bullet open up easier. So that's cool, especially if you're using solid coppers. But so the body or the target has to stop the bullet, so that's an energy dump into the target. So that's from linear velocity, but you also have to stop a bullet from spinning, which is rotational velocity. And we talked about it last week with David Stark.
Yeah. And he said it best.
Yeah.
The blender.
The blender. I know my daughter put that in the video of me shooting the 8.6. But that's where you see, like if you see, and we'll post it up because I got a picture of it, an 8.6 bullet with the fast twist barrel, rather than the pedals just expanding, they expand and they're twisted. Yeah. And that is also an energy transfer. And now I have shot animals with 8.6, and I can tell you, a 12-inch, 12.5-inch 8.6, I shot that 600-pound nil guy at 225 meters. It's like I shot it with a 300 Ultra Mag or a 300 Win Mag. And I had 2,000 feet of linear velocity, but we had a 1 in 3 twist. So we're creating so much more energy and putting it into the target. And, 600-pound animal that is incredibly durable, 60 meters and was dead.
Yeah.
Shooting it behind the shoulder. So that's 8.6. You got anything about 8.6, Jay?
I'm excited for it. I know you talked about you were not necessarily worried about recoil, but it was something you thought about, and you were surprised by the recoil, surprised by how quiet it was, even with supers. That's
a good point. And it is something that, and I don't know, maybe Pew Science, Jay, our homie, he can do something about that. But we have a big hole through the silencer, which is generally not good when you have lower pressure. Like a 45, it was very difficult. The Tyrant 45 that we did at AC was the first hearing safe 45 dry silencer. And it's because it's low pressure and there's a big hole through the silencer, so all the gas wants to escape. So I didn't have incredibly high expectations for the supersonic being very quiet, because I've shot, Ethan and I originally started working with 338 Federal, which is what we started this project with, and we ended up with 8.6 Creedmoor, or no, it's 8.6 Blackout now, all the name changes. But I was expecting it to be loud supersonic, and it is so quiet. I almost convinced myself I was shooting subsonic loads and didn't know it. Mm-hmm. But I think there's a velocity thing. When it's only 2,000 feet a second, the gases aren't traveling as fast. It's just not producing as much sound as if, we bumped it up and it's going 3,000 feet a second. So maybe Jay can get into that in one of his podcasts or tests. Anyway. Not this Jay.
My other podcast, Pew Science.
Pew. The Jay situation. Yeah. Our homie out there in Texas doing all that testing. Okay, so another question. So muzzle taper versus a square shoulder. Mm-hmm. Number one, if you have a tapered muzzle, doesn't loosen. Number two, provides alignment. So a square shoulder only stops something from threading on. A muzzle taper, it's like a funnel. It sends everything to the center. It gives you alignment, just like machine tools we talked about.
A lot more surface area.
Yeah. Tons more surface area. So our taper requires 20% more force or torque to remove it than to install it. Yeah. So it means your wife can install it and torque it on as hard as she can. You can't get it off. So it makes you feel like a weakling. So that's a great thing. So you can even shoot full auto. But like my 22, CEO Taurus, appreciate you, sent me the other day. Square shoulder, had a taper on it, and we made an end cap for the erector that was tapered. Silencer wouldn't have come loose. I'd have been shooting tight groups the whole damn time. So tells me we got to do barrels for 22s with tapers. And the erector, with the blast baffle being the serialized part, we can do a rear mount that has a taper. Mm-hmm. Talk to the engineering department. So, and then also our tapers. So if it's half 28 or 5/8 24, our muzzle devices that go onto our barrels are also reverse compatible, so they'll work on square shoulders. So,
and if you have a square shouldered muzzle device, silencer or something, and you want to use, or you have a tapered barrel, then you can get a taper adapter and square it up. So there is, it's not as ideal, but it's reverse compatible in both directions for those who are worried about that.
I mean, you're going to get probably better alignment than you do out of a factory threaded barrel. So Jay, what do we say right here for taper? You can't read it?
Well, yeah.
Kevin can't read it. He wants you to read it for him.
Doesn't loosen, provides alignment, reverse compatible, so you covered those.
Yes, that's true, Adam, but also I wanted him to read this funny part. What's it say for a square shoulder down here?
Just threads, no alignment, looses 1991 Madonna.
Yeah. Yeah, so the shit comes loose when you thread it on there without thread locker on a square shoulder. So 1991 Madonna, and everyone my age knows exactly what I'm talking about. Dennis Rodman. Holla.
Woof.
All right. So this is another one. People asking about all the time. So the fix. You get 8.6, you get 308, you get 6.5. So the fix.
Not necessarily in that order.
Well, yeah, this has nothing to do with order. You're absolutely correct. It's like, ascending diameters.
Sure.
Descending. But anyway, that's the full-size fix, 308 base. 8.6 does not go into the mini fix. The mini fix, 300 blackout, 223 Remington, 6.5 Grendel, or whatever, 9x39. This AR mags, mini fix, AR mags. The fix, SR25 mags, 308, big things. So that's that. Hey, I'm Kevin from Q. This episode of the Q and Ask podcast got a motherfucking sponsor. Tactical Distributors, you're on fire. They carry all kinds of cool shit, man. I got my fancy tiger stripe summer pants here that everybody loves. I skate in those. I go to the club in those, pulling honeys all day. If I actually wore, anything to go in my pool or hot tub, it'd probably be these board shorts. They're also tiger stripe. Things like these Ultima boots, the maritime boot, that are awesome. I don't even know what that means, but these are summertime hunting boots, thin sole, like skate shoes. They're lightweight, they breathe, they repel the water. A cool thing about Tactical Distributors, all right, number one, cool motherfuckers. Number two, their return policy, simple, easy. I never know because I got like the fat feet. So this could be a 10.5, could be an 11. I don't know. Order 2 sizes. I pick one, send it back. It's no trouble. Get a little label, send it back, cost me no money. TacticalDistributors.com, promo code, I don't know what you call it, whatever code at the end, all right? Unpossible15. Unpossible15 gets you 15% off. TacticalDistributors.com. Give them a look.
Next question.
Jay, can I kick it?
Yes, you can.
Yes, I can.
No ETAs ever.
Why not, Jay?
Well, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
Also, shit happens.
Shit does happen.
We are Q. We're not SIG. And we
Or any other company.
Yeah.
Who?
And we release it when it's ready. We're not going to have you guys test it for us.
That's right. So send your ETA questions to your mom.
To jay@liveqordie.com.
Oh.
That's funny because now it's a real email address.
I know it is. That's a good Jay's fucked.
Yeah.
Q. Literally the best trigger ever.
Yeah. What does it say over here?
Adam, can you read that? I can't read that.
It says drop in for the AR, in particular the 15.
So the new trigger is a drop in. The fix does not use an AR trigger.
No, it does not.
Nope. It's got its own trigger system.
Mm-hmm.
So the trigger that we're doing was, which Adam's spoken to before, but it's kind of a supply chain bottleneck kind of issue that we did. And so we decided to dedicate ourselves, developed literally the best trigger ever for the AR. And it's probably going to be available. We're not giving ETAs, but I don't know if it's going to go in the guns first or it'll be in just as an accessory sale first.
I think that's kind of TBD depending on how our supply chain looks, because the last thing we want to do is bottleneck gun production.
Facts.
So
yeah, so we'll see, but it's not far out. It's
so
not far out.
Maybe it'll be available for current Honey Badger or Sugar Weasel owners first as accessories, not exclusively, but for them.
Well, you handle the logistics of
I'm
that
not going to
bullshit.
control that. But
That's Jay's job now. You're a robot
I'm a
dance
logistic
yourself
guy?
over there. Doing logistics.
Tag it on.
Yeah.
Doing logistics.
But no, I think the biggest takeaway from that question is the fix and the mini fix do not use an AR trigger. Our new trigger is for the AR/M4 platform.
Yes.
Ever heard of it?
Should we get into like compatibility? Did we talk about that? High shelf versus low shelf lowers. It works in all lowers.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can put the
I'm old school. They were all low shelf.
Yeah, you can put the safety on with the hammer dropped.
That is a cool feature. So
Let's
think
talk
about
about that
that, guys. With the AR,
Yeah.
when the hammer's dropped forward, you cannot put the safety on. Seems a little lame. With ours, you can.
So why do you like it? It's a cool feature and it's like a free feature. It's not for everybody.
Well, for me, I would never care. But if I'm shooting with my kids or teaching someone, I like for myself the visual indicator the gun's on safe. For me, when I'm by myself hunting or shooting, I never use a safety. Like just don't shoot if I don't mean to. Like don't point it at my junk. Like pretty good.
Yeah. We talked about it.
A little bit.
The maybe the other side of it as why people potentially wouldn't like it.
Well, explain, Jay.
If you can't put your trigger on traditionally, or I'm sorry, if you can't put your safety on traditionally, it means your gun's dead.
The hammer's forward.
Yeah, your gun's dead.
Yeah, it's a good indicator of whether your gun is ready to
live
go or not.
Yeah.
So depending on your mindset, like safety standard with the kids, awesome. For real world use case.
Okay, so yours is a muscle memory argument, which is valid. Okay, well,
Kinda.
Well, yeah. No,
if you were designing from the ground up and the M4 didn't exist, would you be able to put the safety on at all times?
yeah, that's why it's on the 416.
And those are not entry level people using the full 16.
Yeah, SOPs vary, I think, depending on where you're at. So
I think it's just.
there's an argument both ways. I don't care either way.
I think it's a good option. People don't have to do it. You don't have to do that.
I prefer it if I have the option.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
it's cool that it's included. And you don't have to do anything crazy.
So. I think it's a feature.
Let us know what you think in the comments.
Comment down below. Let's discuss it. It's going wild down there in those comments. Let's get after it.
What does Grand Thumb say? I'm not going to control you people. It's a cesspool.
Yeah, his
The
comment section.
wildest place.
His
Get in
comment
there.
section, yeah.
Get some.
No, I don't think he says get some.
Yeah, none of
I don't
It
think it's
doesn't.
that
Doesn't
lame.
say get
No,
some.
he's in the Air
Is he?
Force.
Yeah, they don't say that.
No, he's in the Air Force. We're prim and proper people.
Oh yeah, I guess Top Gun's
But he-
Navy pilots.
He does have the most degenerate comment section on the internet.
Yes.
Oh, I've never looked at
They
it.
are not
is-
PG-13 even.
Yeah.
They are. It is.
It is something-
Well, how does he not get all blocked up, jammed up, shadow banned?
Because that's not his. He's not. It's not him doing it. It's the public.
I'm sure there's some comments that get taken down by the moderators.
Yeah.
Huh.
There must be.
But yeah, his comment section is known for being a little wasteland.
It is.
It's entertaining though.
Yeah.
I was unaware. I just thought it was a little ploy to get people in there, which I thought was pretty savvy. His videos, Grand Thumb,
Awesome.
one of my favorites.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Adam, I know you're a huge fan of the direct thread silencers with the taper. Why so?
Better alignment, because I don't like baffle strikes or end cap strikes.
Yeah, those below.
Yeah, they suck. They're hard to fix. I'm also not. I have multiple silencers, which is something to consider.
Humble brag.
No, it's, hey, you said you had hundreds earlier. I think I have 7.
Yeah, but that's me.
Yeah, but the point is, I'm not taking one silencer unless it's for like a Gucci picture, which I do sometimes on Instagram.
Lots.
I like it.
That's good. You
They're
do a
great
good job.
pictures.
Yeah.
Great pictures.
Thanks.
I like this sherbet sort of style you got going on now.
Yeah, I'm playing
All
with
the
different
pastels.
colors.
It's cute.
Some inspiration from a guy or gal, I guess, named Otto Sear.
He's a guy. Very much a guy.
I don't
Very-
know.
He's got
Oh,
a super big beard. He's cool.
I thought you were going to say something
All
else
right.
that confirms he's a guy.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so back to this.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, so I have multiple silencers. I don't need to take my silencer off and put it on multiple hosts when I go to the
Yeah.
range. So I have multiple direct thread silencers because I knew I wanted silencers and I was willing to invest in multiples.
yeah,
And so direct thread makes sense to me.
I think direct thread does not make sense if you have a square shoulder and no taper.
Yeah.
They come loose. If you use our taper now, well, SIG uses the taper, HK uses the taper. Some of the silencer companies are using it now. It should be the industry standard for barrels because you get alignment.
Did AAC use any tapers?
Yeah. So the
Not
first
on the barrels.
yeah we did the first taper that we did was on the 3rd generation Honey Badger,
Okay.
or maybe the second,
right around the
but
same time.
The
Yeah.
third, the ones that were purchased on contract have taper muzzles and direct thread silencers, and then Ethan would you guys did it for the MCX, so same taper.
Yeah.
So actually, it's kind of the SIG taper, but it originally is an AAC taper, and we use the same thing. So here's a little piece of art that I did that I love. Like I use a lot of because taking pictures, social media. I use a lot of our quickie mount, the Cherry Bomb silencers. And then I can take the silencer off. I usually have more guns with me than silencers so I can move it around. But also taking a picture to show how well the taper works because of the carbon buildup that accumulates on the Cherry Bomb. But I am 100% with you. Like, I don't ever shoot without a silencer, so it's kind of stupid. If I weren't doing some social media stuff or marketing for the company, I would just have a silencer for every gun. Never have a Cherry Bomb, always direct thread. Because here's what people need to understand. Here, you have this tolerance and this tolerance. Here, with the quickie mount, even though it's the best, because we're using tapers, we're not using stupid shims, washers, all this other timing, alignment bullshit that gives you misalignment. You get a taper a taper inside the cherry bomb, and a taper inside the silencer.
Tapers on tapers on
Three
tapers.
tolerances.
You're right.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know, it's probably 6 times worse than this. Like,
Yeah.
this is better for alignment.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny. I was watching one of the copycat competitors today. They also build rifles. Watched a video on them. And they have a removable front end cap insert. So when you inevitably get a baffle strike or an end cap strike, you can replace it easily at home for $20.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
It's like, number one, you're providing more misalignment out here because your tolerance stack at the muzzle, you douche.
Just keep changing it. Don't worry.
And it's like, okay, well, why don't you taper your barrels and your silencer so you don't get end cap strikes?
And EDM your silencer.
So
They also don't do that.
Are they doing it? And I'm not saying I agree with their choices, but are they doing it for that reason, or are they doing it as like a bore reducer?
Well, they also claim that.
Yeah. So my question is,
my feeling was it was a marketing feature.
Sure. With everybody that sells modular front end silencers, if you're wire EDMing your silencer with that front cap on it, assuming you're doing it with the front cap pre-installed for optimal alignment, what happens when you change the front end of your silencer with an accessory or a replacement front cap? You can't guarantee that concentricity anymore.
And what people don't realize, if you get because there is a tolerance, even with a taper, the concentricity. So if you're talking about your muzzle and then the silencer, okay, so if you get a little bit there, if you go out here 8 inches, it's like 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So the idea of putting threads there and worrying about that concentricity, and it's ridiculous.
I wonder how they make do you think they just do the end caps just by themselves? Because then it's like, what is it concentric to? Just its OD?
I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, they do the end caps. They're already threaded. They weld them up. This company isn't EDMing, and then they thread something in there. And we know, like, you can say whatever you want. You melt that material, you're going to get some distortion. You're going to get some misalignment. So out at the end, so it's not done after the thing is welded. It's done before when it's made. So then, and their inserts are also aluminum. So the aluminum threads taking it in and out fatigues in the stainless steel. So it's also in a different spot every time you torque it in.
Mm-hmm. And even if they were wire EDMing their silencer, the whole modularity of it kind of makes it a moot point, right?
Right.
As soon as you change it out.
Yeah, as soon as you move it from that original configuration where it was EDM'd, it's no longer that.
Well, it's so funny because when Dead Air copied the Erector and did their Odessa 9mm, and Mike Pappas told me
they didn't copy it. That thing's terrible.
Well, what he said was they planned to weld it all together to be tubeless, but when they welded it, it was so warped that they couldn't weld it, so they just had to thread it together. So when they asked permission for me to copy the Erector, but even threading it together, the lack of engineering there, they wire the silencer after they do it. So they number every baffle, and then the end cap's wired. And you can see on ours, like the misalignment, if you take the front end cap out and look at it, of where they cut it with a wire. And all those parts thread together, that all fatigues some. So it doesn't all line up the way it did originally every time you disassemble it and put it back together.
If you do have one of those modular cans, do yourself a favor and grab a painted paint pen or something and draw a line across the mating points, because that way you can see if it's becoming loose, or save yourself an extra.
Yeah, and when you torque it down, if it fatigues the material in the thread, and it's a little more every time. And so then if you wire it, it's only good that one time. Once you disassemble it, put it back together, the wiring, oh God, I almost want to pay an engineer to go work at Dead Air, but whatever. Anyway, twist. So this question comes up a lot. Fast twists.
Yeah.
So we're running fast twists. So here's an example. This what twist means, because I got some pretty basic questions, which I appreciate because it tells me some of the audience, I appreciate them being engaged. They didn't understand what twist meant. So you're rifling is a twist. So generally you see a number, it'll be like a 1, and a 10. So that means there's one twist in 10 inches of barrel.
One rotation.
Yeah, one
projectile.
One rotation. Yeah. So we're running fast twists, and this would be a standard twist, so it's much slower. So what are the advantages here, and why do we do this? And again, your subsonic, your slow, long bullets, you get better accuracy here. and you get more energy, and they're spinning faster, so they'll open up faster and more reliably.
And when you say here, you mean the faster twist.
Faster
twist. For the
twist.
people on the audio.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So with a good point. Faster twist. With a slower twist, you don't get that. So subsonic 308 has to be a light bullet because almost all 308s are a 1 in 10, 1 in 11 twist. Very slow. So the long, heavy subsonic bullets are not accurate because they're not being spun very quickly, and they don't expand. So they have to make light bullets for subsonic 308 so that it'll be reasonably accurate out of a slow twist barrel, and they'll expand. So 308 subsonic is never going to be as good as 300 blackout because we run fast twist, and the limited case capacity, you get more consistent standard deviation. For instance, you might get 20 feet a second deviation in muzzle velocity out of 300 blackout subsonic, but out of 308, just because there's so much case capacity. When you load subsonic, you don't put much powder in there, so there's a lot of case volume. So it might be 75 feet a second standard deviation of muzzle velocity out of a subsonic 308. And the only reason that matters to you is that difference gives you vertical stringing, and so you can miss your target. So 308 subsonic, it's better than no subsonic, but it sucks compared to something like 300 blackout with fast twist. Fast twist, and again, fast twist doesn't give you more linear velocity, but it really greatly improves the rotational velocity, which is going to give you more energy on target, which kills stuff mo better.
Yep.
And you can't have too fast of a twist.
I was just
so
going to
if
say
you haven't
that.
watched the previous episode with David Stark, check that out because there's a slow-mo video of a expanding subsonic spinning too fast, and it opens up at muzzle exit. So check that out if you haven't.
And that's bullet design. As we move forward, and the way I envision 8.6 growing in 300 blackout is people will understand we'll develop projectiles just for super fast twist barrels. Like maybe we get to 1 in 1, like we've tested it.
We have.
But it requires special projectiles because everything's designed to expand out of a 1 in 1 twist. Will expand. We stopped at 1 in 3 with 8.6 because if you have a bonded bullet or a solid copper with a 1 in 3 twist in 338, it will not expand out of the muzzle. But if we go to 1 in 1, the thing comes apart out of the muzzle. So you got to have special bullets.
Yeah, and we're going to do 1 in 1 for certain customers, and they're going to have very special ammo to use with that. And there's going to be some reverse compatibility issues if they try to use other ammo.
That's true.
But they'll be professionals, and they should know that.
Yeah, and the great thing about that is what it does, this super, super fast twist, a 1 in 1 twist, which is absurd. It gives you the ability to have a very short barrel and deliver a lot of energy in a light, compact gun. So you kill something more effectively. And, a lot of our products, that's what it's geared towards. So what are the differences in our silencers? So we have our half Nelson, full Nelson. We have the Trash Panda and Thunder Chicken.
Yep.
So they're not exactly, but kind of the same silencers, except the Trash Panda and Thunder Chicken attached to our Cherry Bomb, which is our muzzle device, our muzzle brake, and the half Nelson, full Nelson attached directly to barrels. So they have a square shoulder on the back of the silencer, which will go on any 5.8/24, any threaded 308, 6.5 gun, 300 blackout gun you've got. But they also internally have our muzzle taper, so they work on our tapered barrels. So these, if you have one of our guns, get the thread mount silencers. They never come loose. Unless, like Adam said earlier, if you want to move the silencer from gun to gun, then it's easier to do with the quickie mount. Because, for instance, every one of the Trash Panda or Thunder Chicken silencers comes with a 5.8/24 muzzle device and a half 28. So you can put these on your 5.56 and all that. And 5.56 is generally threaded half 28. And if you have the half or full Nelson, you can't really install those on the half 28 barrels. But for me, the half Nelson is my favorite because I can put it on my hunting rifle, the rifle I do most of my shooting with, and I eliminate the Cherry Bomb and all those tolerances. The silencer never comes loose. I have less parts, less weight, less expense. This is great. So these are kind of our two versions of silencers, and we have short length for hunting competition, minimalist, lightest weight, and then we have the full Nelson and the Trash Panda, the Thunder Chicken, which are the quietest offerings.
Yeah.
The jumbo shrimp goes on a Cherry Bomb, by the way.
It does.
Yeah,
Just for people who don't know.
Because it has the funny name like these.
So both the half 28 and the 5/8 24 cherry bombs have 7.62 diameter bores through them, which is not how we originally launched it. So the old half 28s had a 223 bore through it. So lessons learned.
Yeah, because people would install these. We didn't even know they were 30 caliber barrels. So at half 28, and people would shoot a 300 Win Mag through
some AKs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So moral of the story is check your shit before you shoot it.
But also, people ask about it too. All of our, like you said, all of our cherry bombs have that 30 cal bore.
Now,
you can shoot 5.56 through it. Like you
Or
can shoot a smaller round. It's not
or
gonna do
9
anything.
millimeter for some of the half.
Well, we have a half 28 and 9 millimeter cherry bomb that's not tapered. So don't shoot 9 millimeter through your tapered muzzle cherry bombs. That won't end well. So
what's up with the cherry bomb?
Is there an advantage, in your opinion, with the cherry bomb inside the Trash Panda as a diffuser of sorts versus half Nelson or full Nelson direct thread?
Diffuser for
or whatever.
sound?
No, just whatever we want to call it.
I mean, I think
sacrificial blast
like
baffle.
sacrificial
sure.
blast baffle,
Yeah.
like 17.4 instead of titanium. If you're using short barrels, taking the high velocity powder and gas, like it's better.
Is that reason enough to choose a Trash Panda or a Thunder Chicken over the direct thread?
No, not for 308 or 300 blackout. Only if you're really going to use it on 5.56, which you would need anyway. If you want to be able to move the silencer from gun to gun, get one of our quickie mount, Trash Panda Thunder Chicken. If you don't, get one of the direct threads. It's more better and airway.
I will say our Thunder Chicken on 5.56 sounds very good.
Yeah, well, it's a big silencer. I mean, that's the thing, you know, like we can have all these dorks getting into silencers trying to invent a new baffle, or you can just create some volume.
Yeah.
It works, guys.
It does. All right. Anyway.
All right. So I got this breaking news question from some fan named Adam Johnson.
Yeah.
Then let's talk about the difference between Keymod and M-Lock.
Yeah. I posted a picture on social media.
Oh, God, get that out of here.
And I just said Keymod is greater than M-Lock, just to kind of revive the old fight and the debate, just to be a dink. But
There's probably so many people that are into guns now who are even watching this that don't even know what Keymod is.
Yeah, that's true too.
You touched on it too, because I don't have a ton of experience with Keymod. I remember when it came out.
Because you're 19.
Yeah, because I'm 12.
How old are you?
I'll be 26 at the end of next month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm 26. I'm 25 and a half.
Yeah, I'm 25 right now. But I remember when it came out, but I was still a little sprout.
Yeah.
So I've only ever heard the shit talking on Keymod and only heard from a guy, from another guy, whatever. But you said that there was some people weren't using proper tolerances, and that's when you were seeing some failures. Like I think the
torque
I don't.
on
Yeah,
Keymod,
torque for sure. I don't know if I said
torque.
tolerances.
I'm sorry, you did say torque. I stand corrected.
I think so. The reason why I think Keymod is better, it uses tapers in the front, and again, taper. But it uses tapers in the front portion, the smaller portion, and it will have a better lockup at lower torque value. So if you follow the proper torque value, you're not going to damage the rail, and you're not going to damage the accessories. The reason why I think Keymod failed, quote, is a couple reasons. One, creative freedoms in how Keymod accessories were made, because it wasn't protected by like a TDP like Magpul's M-Lock. And so I think people were over torquing things or torquing it properly, but those accessories didn't have the proper recoil lug on it to interface with the back feature so that your accessories were falling off.
Kind of like Uncle Mike's. Like, you need a print to make stuff.
Yeah. That's where Voltor, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
That's where they failed in that they open sourced
Voltor,
it and said,
Johnny Noveski was part of it too.
Yeah,
so it was
Eric
the two of them. Yeah, and Eric. Yeah.
So I think had it been controlled like the M-Lock prints are, like you have to apply for the license to license it.
Yeah, it's always a thing, kind of like what we're doing with 8.6, and it's the same thing. Magpul did a good job with M-Lock. Open source, and they make you engrave their little logo on it, and they'll give you all the drawings, and it's easy to use.
Yeah.
You know, M-Lock, I think, they did it because they could injection mold it into plastic too. but it has to be thicker and stuff. I mean, that's why our Q-Cert handguard for the fix with like 39 additional stainless steel pieces in it, or whatever the number is still 2 ounces lighter than M-Lock. Yeah, I mean, to me, M-Lock, I mean, they're both okay, but they suck compared to Q-Cert.
I've had terrible luck with M-Lock.
Yeah,
Really?
I don't like it.
Like, well, it's a pain in the ass to actually put something on.
Yeah,
but
I put
you
a
had
flashlight
rip-outs?
on the other day, and I thought it was on one of those cloud defense ones.
Yep.
Put it on a Honey Badger, and the fucking thing fell off.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just torqued that down.
Yeah.
Because I torqued it. All I was doing is tightening the nuts through the
Yeah, and
key
it's
mod,
just
and
spinning.
they didn't spin and lock.
Spinning and spinning and
So
spinning.
you didn't have that issue with key mod, which I appreciated.
So inherently, you would say Keymod is a good system.
You
I
know,
think it's a
what?
fantastic system.
You know why I think, number one,
Compared to M-Lock.
here's why I think Keymod wasn't successful. Magpul just had a lot of marketing power, and they made the accessories, and
Well, they got SOCOM's buy-in.
that came later.
yeah.
But you know what I think the biggest hindrance with, and this is why Square Drop happened at AAC. The biggest problem with Keymod is it's fucking ugly.
Yeah,
It's ugly.
it is. It looks like little dicks
Yeah. Well, okay.
from far away. I don't know.
Yeah, even from right here.
Yeah,
kinda.
see?
I'm used to looking at them. Trust me.
Jesus.
Ooh, well, new podcast starting. But yeah, I think it's ugly. I think it's one of the reasons. I think that's stupid, but I think it's true. I mean, but it was a culmination of things. They didn't present it properly. They didn't give all the specifications.
They didn't control the market.
And I think, Magpul was in a great position. They make like tons of plastic stuff that's cheap. And so, we can do all these accessories. Well, we can't put Keymod into plastic handguards and stuff. So, hey, we need another design. And they did a Keymod that goes on a rectangular, what would you call that? Like just a hole in the handguard. But so they could injection mold it in plastic. And it is better looking because Magpul is very good traditionally with the style and aesthetics.
Yeah,
We love Magpul.
BCM launched a line of plastic handguards with key mod, but they had a sheet metal inside the plastic.
pain
And it was
in
just
the
too
ass.
complicated.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
We like
But
Magpul.
Anyway,
Well,
Right after our
well,
Magpul,
the Honey Badger
I
has
love
M-Lock
Magpul.
on it,
Right.
So people are probably like, "Well, why does that have him?"
Well, I agree, but if everybody looks at the advanced armament
Mm-hmm.
handguard,
that has
it
fake
is
M-Lock.
very close to M-Lock, and that's prior M-Lock. That's what we were doing at AAC.
Aesthetics choice.
And it was going to be the attachment was going to be a turnbuckle situation
this.
like the handguard. Yeah.
I was gonna say, it looks almost like it right there.
Yeah, and that might be the cut that was in the Honey Badger handguard. I don't know. This rifle's cool. So this was it's a Noveske rifle, obviously, but I don't know. They made like 6 or 10 of them for like Johnny's friends after he died, and so they sent me this one. And it's so cool because as soon as I got it, all I did was hunt with it for a year or so because I was like, man, and I'm probably the only guy that shot it, but I'm like, Johnny would have wanted people to kill shit with it. And that's what I
5.56?
did. Yeah, it's 5.56, 16-inch 5.56. And Johnny was cool too. He was like the first guy that did a lightweight 4-end. He used Keymod. I like the gun a lot.
Yeah.
It's crazy what happens when things are designed based on the end user and not just trying to do something new.
Market research.
It's important.
Yeah, so that comes to some of these other questions that are in here. But, with Q-Cert, basically, so with M-Lock and all these other things, you have the screws, but there's some blind part of it where you're working with a piece that's inside the handguard that could drop off, or maybe it's locked in, maybe it's not. With Q-Cert, you have the pieces mounted directly into the handguard permanently. So all you do is you stick a rail or whatever accessory in there. It has the lug on it. It has 2 holes. You have screws. You torque them down. Bam, you're done. Stainless steel inserts. So 900 pounds of pull per section. It's way stronger than anything else on the market.
And lighter.
Yeah, it's still lighter.
Lighter and mainly because we're not trying to put shit in plastic.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. 308 subs. We already talked about
Yeah, you
this. I
talked
think
about
that
it.
we
They
just
suck.
get rid of that one.
They're fun.
All right. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Novelty.
Hunting story. Somebody wanted to know a hunting story. Unless you guys have one.
Oh,
think of
yeah. I
one.
said it was your best one. Well, Adam does a lot of hunting, but he admittedly does not do a lot of killing.
I do a lot of sitting in trees.
My best hunting story.
You've told some good ones.
Yeah.
Just go
I don't
check out some
remember.
previous podcasts. I think there's the one called I Shot Godzilla or something.
Yeah.
There's some good ones on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good hunting episode.
yeah.
Yeah. Go
Have
make
I
your,
told the story about when the deer almost ran me over at your farm on the podcast?
No.
No.
I don't
I've never
even
even
know
heard
that
of
I've
it.
this
Yeah.
story.
I've told you about it before.
Well, maybe I was
Maybe we were
drinking.
No, we were hunting in Georgia at your farm, and I was sitting on, we'll call it a path. Definitely wasn't a road or a trail.
It was a paved road. Yeah, it's gone. It was just,
But I was sitting on the wood line. Your nephew told me to sit there if I wanted to shoot a deer.
Okay.
So I did. And I did see a deer. And I heard just some trampling through the woods just to the left of me. And it got louder and louder and louder. And then I looked over and a brown blur jumped over me. And I jumped off my ass as
Are you
fast-
serious?
Swear to God.
did you run away or did you try to shoot
No, I
it?
jumped up and turned around and had my gun up. And I was like, it's gone.
Yeah.
The fucker was
You
gone.
didn't look until it was
on top.
Well,
jumping
I was kind of
over
like,
you.
I was like, there's something in the woods.
Oh,
moving
you don't
around.
wanna move
I'm
around,
like, I'm
yeah.
from New Hampshire, so usually that's a squirrel, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like,
Okay, so don't drink and hunt,
Yeah.
basically.
basically. Yeah, the fucking thing jumped right over me.
I did not know that. I've never had that happen.
I
That's what I
texted-
tell you. You got to get out
I
there.
texted the group because we're all in different spots. I was like, I shit you not, I just almost got run over by a deer.
Yeah, but that's different than the story you told because that could have
Yeah.
been a lot of things. Like
Yeah.
a deer actually jumping over you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah,
I have been hunting 10,000 times. Never
Yeah.
had that happen. That would be awesome. I'd fucking love that.
that's the second time I've almost physically come in contact with a deer.
You need to shoot sooner. Like, what the fuck are you waiting on?
Feeding them at York's
No,
Wild Kingdom
the
is a
first time-
completely different thing.
Yeah, sure. First time I was in the Marine Corps and we were running in formation
yeah.
through the woods, and a deer just ran straight through the formation.
Yeah.
The first time I
I've
saw
seen a lot of videos and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
the first time I saw a mule deer was when I was in the military in Utah. We had them on.
Yeah,
they-
you wouldn't see a
they came
mule
on-
deer,
well, I know.
deer here because they're not here.
Right. But the first time I saw it, I was like, I've seen some decent sized deer. but
It's
I was
cool
like, that
because
thing's
they
like a
hop
horse.
instead of running.
Yeah.
They're bigger, but not a ton. But it's interesting because, a deer runs. But did you know this? Like mule deer, when they fucking get going, so they trot just like a normal deer, but when they run, they hop like a kangaroo or something. It's so bizarre and
Yeah.
like why?
I was just shocked at how, like, all of them that I saw were big. Like, there were a bunch of does and a couple bucks, and just, I had not seen. Normally, you'll see a big deer and a bunch of smaller ones, but
Yeah.
out there.
Antelopes do that too, right?
Yeah.
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 Does a Neil guy do that? It's a big ass
No,
antelope.
I've never. No, they run.
Mm.
Well, I don't. Well, I mean, maybe pronghorn. They kind of hop, but no, do they?
Pronghorn? Yeah, they look like it.
I think they run. They may hop at like a medium speed. I think they run. Speed goats.
If people have.
I don't know. I should know this. If I hadn't had a couple drinks, I probably wouldn't.
If
know.
people have hunting stories, they can send them into the podcast email, and we'll decipher if they're real or not. And maybe
If
we'll
they're
tell them.
really good, maybe we'll call you and you can tell the story yourself.
Oh, that would
Yeah.
be fun. I'd
Yeah.
like that. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. Adam,
Yeah.
CEO.
Yep. What does that say?
Build
Says
days coming
build days coming back? Question mark.
Sure.
back. Sure.
Okay. Details.
Next question. No.
All right.
I don't know when. There's still a thing called
Yeah,
COVID-19.
the pandy's still happening.
We have
Pandy.
the
Jesus
pandy. Is that what we
Christ.
call it now?
Yeah, pandemic, pandy,
No,
whatever.
you're not young
Yeah.
enough to talk like that.
No, they'll come back for sure. I want them to come back. It's a lot of fun. It'll probably be a little bit different this time around. It'll be like after hours on a weekend, so we're not interrupting production because it is
Yeah,
it is
I do
a
agree with
distraction.
that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. All right, 70-degree selectors. Who knows the answer? I mean, okay, Jay.
Just hold on. Reverse real quick.
Beep, beep, beep.
There are still people who are signed up for build days who are just waiting for us to. turn
Yeah,
it
you
back
don't
on.
get to, idiot.
So we'll
We're
take
gonna have
care.
to do them at the house, like the podcast.
We're gonna
then.
reschedule all those people first before we start taking.
Let's just
on-
do them here. We got plenty of room. I live in a fucking hotel.
Well, we talked about wanting
Part of
to-
it's coming to the factory though, and seeing,
Yeah.
Oh.
you know,
But I mean, we talked
feel like
about
they
them
come to
wanting to
see
do
us.
a podcast too, anyway. So, like, once they do a build, or
Oh yeah, we'll definitely
we could see
have-
if they'd want to come do one here. Bring one of the engineers here.
They can be like
They do a
really,
podcast?
really short form podcast. where
I
we
can
just
just cook
shoot
steak and
the shit.
eggs. Yeah,
I like steak and eggs.
yeah, you make a good
because they're
breakfast
delicious.
sandwich too. You make
Yeah,
a
yeah.
great breakfast sandwich.
Really?
You guys are spoiled.
Yeah, he does. We moved a safe for him, and he made a couple of us some
Oh,
sandwiches that were great.
Forgot about that. Oh,
Yeah.
very welcome. Okay, I'll get after that next week's podcast. You guys will have some breakfast here.
Pretty great.
Don't say that because Ivana, she made us so much shit. If
She
you
made
guys want
crepes
something-
today.
Oh God, they were so good. I just had another one when I went to take a pee.
I'm gonna when we're done with it. To answer your 70-degree.
7-degree selector.
Yeah. See, 45, it's cool. It's convenient. It's nice. But it's not always safe.
No.
70 degree, it's the shallowest you can get, but it's always safe. And it may be always safe in our guns, but...
Why isn't 45 always safe?
Well...
And I know the answer.
Sear
The
engagement
mil
is-
spec tolerance, if you take everything to the extreme, you don't get the sear engagement, and the gun can fire with it on safe. Not in all receivers, but in extreme cases. So we build so that everything and design so that everything can always go together. So it's GD&T and, you know, most companies, I mean, God, it's embarrassing that most companies in our industry don't even have mechanical engineers, much less ones that have experience with this sort of, you know, tolerancing and GD&T to where they can do the tolerance stack.
I think that's a point that a lot of gun owners don't understand, is that, like, Noveski's done a good job of super tight fit stuff, and they're kind of known for that. But the actual mil standard, if you were to look at the M16 drawing, which you shouldn't be able to because we're not allowed to have it.
Well, lots of people do because they inadvertently released it.
The tolerances are wild. Like, even just the top rail, you're allowed like 70 thou of movement back and forth. Like,
but you know, guys like Johnny, who mechanically inclined, brilliant guy, not a degreed engineer. So he, you know, his are probably the 45 degree selector is probably always safe in the receivers that he made.
Mm-hmm.
but if they were to take it out of that and throw it in their DPMS or something,
Not always going to be in spec.
Right.
Well, and that comes with mass production, having to crank them out like Colt FN, all those big military contracts. Noveski could never do that. They do smaller scale stuff.
Well, it's the same thing when people talk about Knight's armament silencers and the attachment method. It's loose and sloppy, and the silencer, it's like 3 MOA. Well, the SOP mod contract about the time you were born, that's the allowance. That was the objective was, okay, we want 3 MOA of accuracy, 3 MOA of shift. Mm-hmm. And so the Knight's mount meets that. And, you know, it's like another thing.
The previous podcast we did, if you want better, change the requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's true.
Have higher standards.
All right, so this is probably me. Big bang party story. So at Advanced
When did you go to a
Armament
bang
Panic
party?
Key- Yeah. So I did these parties.
The season finale party.
Two or 3 years at Advanced Armament right before I sold. Maybe I think the last year when I sold, we did one. We had already planned it, but then I sold in October. SHOT Show was in January, so then I had to get the board of Cerberus to approve it, which I think I told the story before. Ed Renzi, who was the CEO of McDonald's and had retired, an old guy, funny as shit. So he's in his 70s. And, you know, the parties are like $250,000 a piece. So what I thought for SHOT Show was we do our booth and we have a party. We don't have some Glock dinner where we serve you steak and it's formal and you sit down and it's boring and we ask you to sign up for shit. All it is, customer appreciation. We're going to be cool and awesome. It's going to be a real party. It's going to be fun. Because there's 2 kinds of people that go to SHOT Show in Vegas that work there. Me, never drink, didn't party, didn't go out. Because it is a long, long week. It's the most exhausting week of my life. Or my year, every year. And they're the people that are getting away from their wives, they're getting away from their families, and they go bananas in Vegas. And they're like, whatever, snorting coke, drinking, partying all night. It's just like the 2 kinds of people that go. And so I was like, we're going to have a party. And, you know, and it was easy for me because I didn't even drink. And it's going to be a great time, and we're going to invite people. We're going to make it exclusive, and it was a huge hit. We did it in the Rio, the Voodoo Lounge, which is like on the 50-something floor. It's on 2 floors and big balconies, and we had like we had music perform. Like, it was seriously the best parties I'd ever been to. So we did 2 or 3 with AAC, and then we did 1 with Q, and I remember, I think the last one, maybe it was the first one at AAC. So I brought like my mother-in-law, my mother, my grandmother, she is the best time in the entire world. She was a pinup in the 50s, completely wild, different from the rest of my family.
I think I met her. We went to the steakhouse.
Yeah, in Tampa. Yeah, that's where she lives, Jean.
Yep.
Yeah, she's a sweetie. So she's fucking hilarious. So she loved the party. And so I was super into it. And so this was before Mini Kiss, the Little People Kiss band, is before they were on the Super Bowl halftime thing. And we had this Guns N' Roses all chick tribute band, and then Butcher Babies. If you Google that, it's like
Google image Butcher Babies.
I tell you, they are two like
Butcher Babies band,
ex Playmates. It's like some kind of death metal. I don't know. The music, I wasn't into it, but crowd favorite, and they perform last. But man, Mini Kiss. Oh my God!
Why are they not called Smooch?
Mini Kiss. That's a good one.
But they were so terrible. They're the worst musicians. It was terrible.
Is that part of the fun though?
Oh, it was. And, because they're little and they have like one beer, they're shit faced. They get up there. The music is just an abomination. And then they were like hitting on all. It was like the greatest time because there I am. I'm probably the only person at the place sober. And they're hitting on all the chicks. And it must work sometimes. I mean, some of them are literally like 2.5 feet tall. Their music was terrible. The Guns N' Roses chick band, phenomenal. They were so good. That was a good one. The Cirque du Soleil, it's like tribal Cirque du Soleil, so like fire dancing, all this weird stuff. Great parties. But my story from there, other than that, my grandmother had the greatest time. My mom's a good time too. She had a great time. They were jam-packed. Like Lou Ferrigno was the first person, the Incredible Hulk. He's the first person that showed up at the party. And the security wouldn't let him in. I had to let him in. They told me, like, they called me and I'm upstairs. Somebody's trying to get in. I'm like, and then and he's like, he's asking if he can come up, like, blah, blah, blah. And I got the feeling he was someone, like, that thought he was special. And then they tell me who it is. I'm like, how the hell would you not let Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk, up? Like, oh my God, it was a great moment for me. I loved meeting him. But he didn't want to be in a crowd because he's deaf and like everybody asking him for shit. So he just wanted to go up there and like find a place to kind of hide out till the party started. So what's so funny too? So this is 10 or 12 years ago. So Eric Graves, Soldier Systems, who's a great friend of ours, 10 or 12 years ago. That's when what's the Las Vegas movies that are so popular with Bradley Cooper, Zach Galifianakis? Hangover. Yeah. I think Hangover or Hangover 2 had just come out, and they were biggest movie in the world. And I turn around the party, and Zach Galifianakis is standing in the party. And I'm like, man, we have a party. Like, Zach Galifianakis showed up. It was Eric Graves. He looked exactly like him at the time. Like the ginger beard, the ginger hair, like 30 pounds past his prime. It was great. So one of the major gun companies, the CEO and founder, and I probably have told this story actually in a previous podcast.
What does the company rhyme with?
Oh. do you just say so? Is that what
Yeah, it rhymes with the real name.
To be fair, there's nothing else that rhymes with not.
I don't know. What do you like? Eminem? You don't know. So anyway,
I'll think about it.
We'll say his name rhymes with. So he, at the time of the party, he's probably my age. He always wore a bad suit. Nice guy, I like him a lot. He was bald like me, but still thought he wasn't bald like me.
On.
He's holding on. I mean, there's probably a Journey song about it, but so anyway, he got very upset because there was a 25-year-old supermodel that just happened to identify his personality from across the room and attach themselves to him because he's sitting in the VIP section with his suit and his like $25,000 whatever, and so gets back to his room later that night and realizes he doesn't have his wallet with him anymore, and is upset with me for hiring professional women, which we absolutely, because I controlled it, did not do that. But it's it's a 1,000-person party in Las Vegas. Yeah. It's like, I'm pretty sure Victoria's Secret models have never been attracted to you in the past at the gas station. Like, you're 47 years old. You ought to fucking know better. And got rolled, lost his wallet, all his credit cards. Somebody racked up a bill in a matter of a couple hours. And it was my fault. So, anyway, they were a good time, man. Little Daniel Horner, who just won this new Working for SIG, shout out. Probably best shooter in the world. Can win with anything. I think he made all the shots closing the bolt. But with the cross and some new hunting division of some hunting, like shooting competition, like whatever, who cares? Yeah, so he had a great time too, and had such a good time. He was a young fella at the time. Got on the elevator and then kind of passed out, so he went up and down the 50 floors for like 3 hours. Or somebody picked him up, a little fella, took him to his room. Great time.
That's funny.
All right, so speed round.
Yep.
Wait, you said Colin has a question. What's he got?
Yeah, we got a question from Colin.
Yeah.
Who's Colin?
Colin's our sales marketing guy.
He's our house husband.
He does a little bit of everything.
Just had a baby. Congratulations, Colin.
Yeah.
Yes, and Abby. Congratulations.
Oh, Abby had the baby, actually.
Abby did have the baby.
On her birthday.
Yep.
You know
Really?
that?
I
Yeah.
called it. Thank you, everyone.
Yep.
Oh, you're genius.
I've
What
never-
the fuck's that mean?
I've never known anybody to have a mom and a baby with the same birthday.
Seems terrible.
It depends what kind
I
of
don't know.
party.
Is it good? Is that a good thing?
Don't know. Haven't done it.
Abby likes to party, so that kid's kid's in luck.
Party girl.
Yeah.
I was expecting like how do magnets work, something like that, but Colin had a good one.
How do magnets work?
Nobody knows. Magnets, how do they work? So Colin says, what's the closest thing to real magic? What products amaze and astound you the most?
In our industry?
Well, I think he just means what product, maybe even outside the industry, what products just astonish you? You think, wow, this is the closest thing to magic.
I don't know. It's such
me,
a
it's magnets.
it's a rabbit hole if you go outside the industry.
Night vision is kind of magical.
Yeah.
Night vision is
Thermal night vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. To me, thermal. Like I don't use night vision a ton. I use thermal a lot. It's probably the best call. Thermal
Awesome.
or Q silencers.
Bow, bow, bow.
I mean, I don't know. That's funny because I said that, I think, in a previous podcast, like magic ain't cheap or whatever. And, I know what we pay the freaking engineers. I have high expectations, but to develop something awesome that you want to use all the time that changes the way you shoot or hunt or your life.
I think a good subsonic, whether it be 22 or 300 blackout with a good silencer, always puts a smile on your face.
100%.
No matter who you are, no matter how many
Yeah.
times you've done it, and that's pretty magical.
100%.
Yeah, that's true. It does. It is a smile with the trigger.
Yeah.
But, yeah, thermal and night vision it seems like magic.
Mm-hmm.
I like that answer. Okay. All right.
Speed round.
Speed round. Here we go. Explain the Erector 9.
Rector 22 and 9mm. Next.
With a booster, bigger diameter, 10 baffles, stainless steel blast baffle for a serialized portion, wipe compatible front cap, lightest.
Or heaviest. No, it's not
it's
that
not
heavy.
that
I know.
heavy. Even its full
the-
configuration, lightest,
it's the
shortest,
lightest.
longest,
Yeah, I don't
8
know.
ounces.
I mean,
loudest, and quietest 9mm silencer on the market.
yeah, it's pretty cool. But you also can do 3-lug, fixed weapon spacer, cherry bomb compatible.
It's going to ship with, not to interrupt you, sorry, it's going to ship with the half 28 piston.
Yep, booster for Browning type,
sure.
tilted barrel, pistol Glocks.
Nielsen device?
Nielsen, Nielsen was actually, I think, Mickey Finn's at Qualitech when they developed the booster. He was his attorney's wife was Swedish or something. It was her maiden name.
Oh.
It's some stupid story is where Nielsen
That's a
comes
cool
from.
little Easter egg. Half 28 booster, piston, whatever. A metric 13.5 by 1. Left hand will be available. We'll have fixed mounts available, not spacers.
No spacer?
We're not going to do that. We're just going to do a fixed mount.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the right thing to do.
All right.
It makes it lighter because you don't have to have the whole piston system.
True.
Yep. And then we'll have a
Cherry bomb.
cherry bomb compatible mount for it as well.
Plan B.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
8 ounces fully assembled. Crazy.
It's awesome. And that was a terrible speed round. But
okay.
yeah.
Next.
Why doesn't Honey Badger use Q-Cert? We did not
We did
answer
not.
this,
We
mother
danced
trucker.
around it.
Oh, I just heard Adam say it, so
Yeah. Okay, Jay. So we're gonna pipe down right now. We're gonna let the people in the know do the talking.
we're gonna slow down for the speed round.
Simmer
So
down
Adam,
now.
why don't we use Q-Cert on the Honey Badger? And when are we? And God dang it.
Well, there are challenges that come with a Q-Cert compatible AR handguard.
What is that?
What is the challenge?
What is an AR? Oh,
What is the question?
What are the challenges?
You get into top rail issues, making sure the top rail of the handguard is the same height as the receiver.
Yep.
So coming up with an effective solution for that that will be accepted on the marketplace, I think, is a challenge. It's going to require a bigger inside diameter to accommodate the channels that the Q-certs ride in on the inside, the anti-rotation channels.
So the Q-cert's a stainless steel piece with the threads with an anchor that are pressed in from the rear.
Yeah,
that make it so strong and awesome.
We wanted to do a silencer that would still accept the 1.5" diameter Honey Badger silencer. It doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing because that inside diameter is going to have to be sized for that silencer, which means the outside diameter is going to get bigger, which then translates to not a lot of room up top for the top rail. So getting around all of that is a challenge. We will find a creative solution for it, and we will have handguards this year.
Oh, so excited about that. All right. Oh, this just says import. It should say important. Dyslexia. Important features, priorities, and silencer design. So just pretend that says important. Thomas, can you Photoshop import ant in there?
Yeah, put an ant in there. Features, priorities, tapers, volume, lightweight.
The most important feature is the one that fits the particular use case for that silencer.
There it is.
Why don't we do a piston Honey Badger was a question.
Why do you need one?
Well, that's the question. People ask that and they think automatically, well, a piston's more reliable. No, it's not.
It's significantly heavier.
It's a lot heavier. It's typically less accurate.
Yep. Moving parts
a lot
over
more
the
moving
barrel.
Parts. That cost just goes to the customer.
And it would have to be proprietary too, right? I don't think there's a standard piston.
Well, there's not. And we know, which we talked about in a couple of the last podcasts with the SOCOM award, the eventual mainstream award of the MCX over the Honey Badger, which the Honey Badger, was over the other 12 guns. The Honey Badger was 4 times more reliable, and it's a impingement gun. Right. So we're talking 300 blackout impingement. Why do you want a piston? Most of the crap comes down the barrel, doesn't go through the gas system into the gun. That's how you get crap in your actions back through your barrel.
What is the argument for having a piston rifle? If there was an advantage,
people never say it. I think they say it. They throw it out there, and they're all aloof, I'm so in the know, piston. But I don't think they fucking know. But I think what they're trying to say is reliability. And there is not a direct correlation with a piston and reliability of the gun. And 300 blackout in the Honey Badger, it's quite the opposite.
Is it gas coming back into the gun? Is that better off on piston because it vents forward of the gas block or around the gas block instead of inside the gun?
How'd that work out for the MPX?
Oh, I'm not saying it's the right thing. But I'm just, throwing it out there.
Yeah, I just see people say, "Well, it's easier to clean my bolt because there's less fouling," and it's if I need to pop the top and pull my bolt out for some reason, it's not hot. Okay,
we got to get better at this.
I'm hungry.
Thanks for tuning in.
Jay's getting
We'll
hungry.
see you next week.